The first time I realized my neighbors had declared war on me, I was mid-blink on a video call with a billion-dollar client, mouth open, frozen like a confused goldfish, about to close a 50 grand cybersecurity contract, and then my screen locked up so hard it might as well have said, "Nice try, champ." 3 glitches later, the client bailed. Just like that. A month of prep gone. $50,000 evaporated because my internet decided to take a nap. I walked into my living room holding the router like it had personally betrayed me, muttering words that would make a sailor blush, and that's when I saw it. My bandwidth monitor spiking like a heart attack chart. Something was draining my network. Badly. I pulled up the device list and nearly choked. Unknown connections. A lot of them. All routing through the same node. The roof. My roof. And I remember standing there whispering, what in the freshly microwaved hell is going on up there? Now, I live in one of those suburban HOA communities where the grass is trimmed to regulation height and the smiles are professionally rehearsed. You know the type. People who wave sweetly while drafting complaints about your mailbox color. Clipboard warriors. Anonymous note enthusiasts. And at the center of it all, Karen Davenport, HOA president. Pastel cardigan enthusiast. Thinks petunias are a personality trait. So I grab a ladder, climb up, and what do I find? Not one, not two, but 3 professionally mounted Wi-Fi repeaters bolted straight into my roof tiles. Blinking happily, humming, siphoning my gigabit fiber like greedy little goblins at an all-you-can-eat buffet. They were wired into my power line. I just sat there on the shingles staring at them, laughing in disbelief. No notice, no signature, no permission, just equipment installed like my house had volunteered for public service. So I marched into the HOA office. Karen was sitting behind her desk like a suburban judge, peppermint bowl expired by at least 3 administrations, smiling the smile of someone who thinks she's in control. Before I could even start, she says, "Oh, Eli, we were meaning to inform you about our new community connectivity initiative. You've been selected as a central hub." Selected. Like I'd won a sweepstakes. Turns out they'd posted a notice 3 months ago on a dusty corkboard behind the HOA building. According to Karen, my failure to object meant I consented. That was the moment something inside me went very, very still. See, what Karen didn't know was that I used to design classified network security systems for government contractors. Companies pay me obscene amounts of money to hunt digital breaches. I track hackers for fun. And this woman thought she could piggyback half the neighborhood through my private network. I didn't argue. I didn't yell. I walked out. Because if you've ever worked in cybersecurity, you know, the loud ones lose. The quiet ones build traps. HOA 2 started right there. Step 1, surveillance. I mapped every MAC address, tracked bandwidth consumption, monitored electrical draw. And what I found made my jaw drop. Over a dozen homes streaming, gaming, uploading, even crypto, mining all through my roof. And I was paying the power bill for it. That's when Operation Bandwidth Clampdown was born. I built a splash page, looked official, polished, boring enough that no one would read it. Provider update. Click accept to continue. Buried in the fine print. A usage clause, 27 cents per megabyte past 50 megabytes daily. Within 24 hours, 10 households clicked agree. I had digital consent. Invoices went out under a shell company name, Data Link Utility Services. Small amounts at first. $50, $100, just enough to sting. And then Karen got hers. She stormed into the HOA office furious, but not at me. At the provider. I watched through a hidden cam in one repeater as she waved the invoice like it was radioactive. Harold, the HOA treasurer, panicked and paid his without even reading it. It was digital theater. I had popcorn. But HOAs don't surrender gracefully. I woke up one morning to 3 citations taped to my door. Unauthorized rooftop equipment, aesthetic violations, public endangerment through unstable antenna deployment. Which was hilarious since they'd installed the antennas. Instead of fighting paper with paper, I escalated quietly. Enter twist number 1. 2 doors down lived Ms. Penelope Baxter. Oversized gardening hats, quiet, harmless retiree vibe. She knocked one evening holding lemonade and said, "They installed unlicensed repeaters on my roof 10 years ago. They didn't know I worked for the FCC. I nearly dropped my drink. 30 years auditing illegal frequency use. Within an hour, we were reviewing logs like two nerdy vigilantes. She confirmed it. Unlicensed hardware, improper power routing, code violations. Not petty, illegal. With her help, we filed formal complaints, but bureaucracy moves like coal molasses. So while paperwork simmered, I had some fun. I injected a firmware loop into the repeaters. Every 6 minutes, reset, signal drop, reboot. And during reboot, a robotic voice played. Network interruption. Please contact your provider. Fortnite matches crashed. Netflix froze mid-romance scene. Smart doorbells glitched. The neighborhood group chat exploded. Solar flares. Government tests. Divine punishment. Karen blamed cyber terrorists. Then came the emergency HOA meeting. Closed doors. Members only. They forgot one detail. The repeaters still ran through my network. I live-streamed the meeting to a private resident group. Karen yelling about sabotage. Harold sweating over invoices. Residents watching in real time. And that was the moment the tide shifted. Turns out I wasn't the only one tired of citations for whimsical bird baths and wind chimes. People started sharing stories. Late fees. Bogus charges. Forced lawn color corrections. The HOA wasn't a community board. It was a regime with pastel curtains. Karen retaliated, of course. More fines. Accusations of defamation. So I responded with something far scarier than yelling. Legal letterhead. A cease and desist drafted by a real attorney friend. Co-signed by Penelope and a retired municipal judge who lived 3 houses down. Silence followed. Beautiful, echoing silence. Then Harold discovered he'd been paying invoices Karen approved for community initiatives. He resigned after a shouting match. 2 board members froze up. Karen was suddenly alone at the head of a collapsing empire. HOA 3 was inevitable. I filed a certified transparency audit request buried deep in HOA bylaws, forcing financial disclosure. Sent digital copies to every resident. Meanwhile, I pushed one final firmware update. The repeaters began broadcasting a new Wi-Fi name. Karen stole bandwidth. Connecting redirected to a page that simply said, "Ask your HOA why your Wi-Fi is trash." Screenshots flooded the neighborhood forum. Memes. Laughter. Even a hedge-measuring crowd started asking questions. At the next open meeting, Penelope motioned to remove Karen from a board. The vote wasn't even close. Karen lost. Repeaters came down that weekend. I filmed myself unscrewing them, cables thudding into a trash bin. Neighbors brought pie. One offered to pay my internet bill. But here's the part that surprised me. When the dust settled, I realized something. This wasn't really about Wi-Fi. It was about boundaries. About what happens when small authority goes unchecked. About how easily people accept nonsense when it's delivered with confidence and a title. Karen didn't think she was stealing. She thought she was entitled. That's the dangerous part. Power isn't loud. It's assumed. And the moment someone questions it, the illusion cracks. She tried one last lawsuit. I responded with 26 pages of documented evidence and a counterclaim for energy theft and property violations. Case dropped in 2 weeks. 3 months later, she moved out quietly at sunrise. No footwood, just a moving truck and wilted petunias. The new neighbors? Retired IT professor and his gamer daughter. They brought a cake shaped like a computer mouse. The HOA reformed. Transparent finance. Resident votes. No tech installs without consent. And on my shelf sits a small anonymous trophy someone mailed me, engraved King of Bandwidth. Now let me ask you something. When does community governance become control? When does convenience become theft? And if someone quietly installs power over your life without asking, do you unplug it? Or do you rewire the whole system? Because here's what I learned. You don't always need to shout to win. Sometimes justice is a steady connection, a few lines of code and patience. So tell me, if your HOA bolted something onto your roof without asking, would you have handled it differently? Would you have unplugged it or gone nuclear like I did? Drop your thoughts. Share your stories. And if you ever see your bandwidth spike for no reason, maybe check your roof.